Hello and welcome. I'm Lindsay, the National Educator for 𝙤𝙯, and I'm here today to interview our CEO and co-founder, David Gordon. Welcome, David.
Hey, hi, Lindsay. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. So I've known David for many years and I have always had a great admiration for him, and he always lightens the mood and keeps things special, has this beautiful quick wit to him. And so I'm really excited to share his journey and his story that shows where we are today for 𝙤𝙯 as a company. And we're going to talk a little bit about his vision. So how does that sound, David?
Terrifying, but I'm in.
Right. So to get us started, I wanted to actually talk a little bit about our mission. And so I'm going to read our mission statement to you all. So it's quite beautiful. Our mission is sanctuary. So here we go. Sanctuary. Our mission is to create sanctuary for you and for all the beings we touch. Sanctuary for the earth, who creates the powerful and therapeutic plants we use in our formulations, for its stewards, our ingredient suppliers, who cultivate, tend, and harvest with exquisite devotion and care to bring us the finest plant material, for our team, whose commitment to community inspires us daily, and for you, who share our devotion to the natural world and transformation of modern beauty ideals. We aim to have each movement crafted with reverence, responsibility, and consideration. We strive to revive a sense of the sacred and plant seeds of a beauty that empower all. Let us be your sanctuary. So David, I was wondering, could you tell us a little bit about what sanctuary means?
Yes, thank you. I think it starts with Evan's, foundational thinking about skin health, skin care, coming out of her work as an esthetician in private practice. She simply wanted to make people feel comfortable in their own skin. And so comfort in your own skin is the ultimate sanctuary, comfortable with who you are. And I think that extended along the journey into, you'd hear her over the years talk about the anti-aging goes against nature, and later it evolved into her thinking about who you are is enough. Feeling good about yourself, feeling comfortable with who you are. These are the ways in which we celebrate sanctuary for ourselves. So I think the foundational thinking behind sanctuary stems just from who Evan was, what her mission was as an individual, as an esthetician, and that I think was embraced by the brand as offering sanctuary. In time, over the last number of years, Evan and I don't do anything, thankfully. I do everything, I should say. Evan and I don't do everything. But so we have a team, and I think the team embraced sanctuary further in terms of thinking about what it is that we do in terms of transformation. We transform the way you see yourself. We can transform your skin. Knowledge, the depth of knowledge and thinking that goes into the products. Evan has always been on that journey to dive deep into the knowledge of plants and how plants heal. And so those aspects of how do we bring together transformation? How do we bring together knowledge of the plant kingdom? These are the foundational ideas that extend into sanctuary. And the ultimate sanctuary, to me, the ultimate meaning of life is to find the sacred in life. And that's part of the sanctuary statement.
So beautiful. It is so transformative and comforting to think about sanctuary. And I know that it is such a valuable statement. And I personally appreciate that that's our mission as our national educator. I feel very comfortable with that. Thank you. So moving on, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and your background leading up to the co-founding of 𝙤𝙯?
Certainly. I think, when I think about my background, I think about the time I spent in the advertising agency business. I was in advertising for at least 20 years. I started in the corporate world and worked on international brands. I've had my most fun as an entrepreneur working on emerging brands. And I think I simply fell in love with the way ideas can impact people. And when you're in advertising, you're aware, you're taught, you learn that the impact you have on changing behavior stems from a combination of rational information and emotional information. I always love the emotional part of it, reaching into the hearts of people and changing the way they feel about something. And I think that the brand 𝙤𝙤ly has rational appeals, explaining, Evan's ability to explain the acid mantle and how taking care of your skin health is ultimately the most important thing you can do. And yet I had a passion for the storytelling that we were able to take on that, centered so much on our journeys, and working with our ingredient suppliers. So it's the emotional impact that I personally love. And I think that you see it in so many ways, is that people fall in love with evanhealy because there's something that is present in the brand, and when I say brand, the brand is a product. To me, a brand is a product that's infused with meaning. And there's some meaning to the evanhealy brand, any good brand that goes beyond the products themselves, that goes beyond the product efficacy itself. And when I grew up, working in the advertising agency business, it was many years ago. But one of the things that always I remembered, if I draw back on that time, is Coca-Cola. And, Coke did product advertising, but also Coke did things like, it comes to mind if I've got the words right, a song where they'd bring people together. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. And I think that's, to me, what I loved about advertising. And that's what I hope that I was able to bring to evanhealy.
Beautiful. Yes, there's so much depth and soul to evanhealy that I think that when we are meeting our customers and our staff, we all feel this sort of unity behind it, that we have a strong community and it is something special. So that being, you being a co-creator for the evanhealy brand, what was your vision for evanhealy?
Well, when I think about vision, I'd say I think about how we started, if that's okay to, hear the question or think about the question that way. And I think the way we started was simply to plant a seed and watch it grow. It was just, evanhealy as a brand was a notion. It struck in me, and Evan and my sort of thinking about what it was we wanted to create. I know I brought to it this idea of, I would love to not just communicate ideas about brands that perhaps I didn't fully believe in 100%, but I wanted to bring something forward to, find something to bring to the world of business that I believed in 100%. So I'd always wanted to market something that was of our own creation.
Wow, beautiful. So you've always been ahead of the curve when it comes to business and marketing, especially in a creative sense. So how did you develop these skills? What sort of background do you have that brought you to this place?
Well, a couple things come to mind. First, I started to meditate when I was 17. So I was of a time and a place where Eastern mysticism was becoming prevalent in society. And for me, fortunately, in my mind, I was there. And the idea that you could be here now, and I forget who that was, Ram Dass or somebody, there was a book. And that was what, my group of friends was aware of. And then we just stumbled into transcendental meditation. And that became, we were young, we were barely, I don't think we were men, we were adolescents still. And I think that I was at an age where I would be, very impacted by meditation. And it became so intimate to me, and I wanted to know more. So I spent, the next, I'd say from the time of 17 to 25, doing everything I could to study with the founder of TM Maharishi, and then later to teach, meditation. And I think that, I'm not sure what the question was, but I think that just being, embracing that world, what I found is that I watched the way Maharishi worked. And I think what Maharishi did was he just had an idea and he started on that journey and he let it, flow. And I really think that I gravitated to that thinking without really knowing it, perhaps. I think I, studied or watched and absorbed what he did. I know decades later, I remember, I don't know the quote perfectly, but I think there's the German writer and statesman von Goethe. I'm not sure if I pronounce it right, but really, it's the idea is whatever you can dream, whatever you think you can accomplish, just begin it, just do it, and that there's magic and power and grace and sacredness in beginning, and that the universe will move to support that idea. And I know it's a quote that I'm sure, many of us, here today or listening, have heard or would resonate. And I think that to me is something that I hope and believe and wish that I've embraced and acted on.
Oh, you sure have. I know, having sat with you in meetings and known you for so long, I see you tapping into this infinite potential, and you actually inspire us as your employees to do the same. Like, the sky's the limit. I've heard you say, just decide, what do we want to create, and we can do it. And I know personally that's been so inspiring to me and has opened my eyes. And learning that you actually were a teacher, I can see that in the way you operate and run, the business, as you are kind of teaching us and guiding us to really to believe in ourselves sometimes, which is very special. So thank you, David.
Thank you.
So, what was it like, sort of creating this like holistic and sustainable business, really at a time when it wasn't necessarily commonplace?
Well, I would say that I don't know that I thought about whether it was commonplace or not. I don't know that Evan thought whether it was commonplace or not. I think what I would say is patience, determination. I remember many times being asked along the way, did I ever doubt that something would come of it? And I never doubted I never doubted that we would succeed. I always felt that whatever we would do, whatever this journey was, we would succeed.
Oh.
So I'm not sure if I answered the question again, but that's what comes to mind.
That's beautiful. Yes. And I feel like, as you said earlier, plant the seed. and see what happens, and really, you're busy d- planting the seed and tending it, so there's no time to think about, has anyone else done this before? You're blazing the trail, and inspiring others to do the same, which is really, something special. And something else that, has always been core and important is, ethical sourcing, foundational for 𝙤𝙀 and you. And so can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with our growers and producers?
Yeah. Well, I've always loved the old ways. I
Mhm.
think in studying, with Maharishi and the ancient Vedic knowledge from ancient India, I think that showed me, oh, there's the truth is not held by the Western world. The truth is deep
Mhm.
and is everywhere and is in all cultures. Um, so I think that value of that knowledge resides in the old ways, that knowledge resides in people, so that when we would find individuals who worked the land or cooperatives who worked on the land, I think I always was able to look and see how special these individuals were. And I think in looking at these relationships, it was simply a matter of valuing what the individuals did, along the Columbia River Valley where we get our hydrosols, or the Alamal Cooperative in Tisnet, Morocco, or the community in northern Ghana, Parisi Village. They're doing things that they believe in. They're doing things that come from tradition. They're connected to the land. You can feel it. You can feel it in your interaction with them. And I think that Evans knows, literally and figuratively, would find these individuals. And then it was so easy to want to spend time with them and work with them to, know that we're in this together. And how do we bring that respect that they have for the land? How do we bring that respect that infuses the land? Is so transformative. The earth is so transformative to who we are, that it gives plants its intelligence, that heals us in so many ways and transforms us in so many ways. So to see individuals who were bringing that simple love of the earth and of doing something well out was like, oh, this is cool. This is something I want to do. This is something I can relate to. This is something I feel, huge pride in doing.
Mm, wonderful. It is fun to share that with everyone as well. Something I love to talk about when I am educating, because it touches so many people, and it shows again the depth and care and community that we have. So special. So, you also co-created a brand and a style that was well ahead of its time, and many others aspire to replicate. I know whenever I'm talking with people and customers, or when we're at Expo West, we always get so many compliments on our style, our literature, the stories, bringing the stories and the visual all back together. Can you tell us a little bit about your foresight in this area?
Well, it may be things that we've already talked about, Lindsay. I'm not sure. Um, I think it's that there's something that's infused in the products
Mm-hmm.
that is more than the products.
Right.
And I've talked about Evan's vision to um, allow our customers feel comfortable in their own skin, and how that can permeate everything is what is it that's beyond the product itself. And there's magic. There's magic, you know, the transformation of plant material into a hydrosol is an alchemical transformation. You know, we talk about ancient alchemy when we're talking about hydrosols. And I think simply is that whether you're transforming plant material into ether and again into water with special aromatic properties, or you're transferring what we're working on in any area of life, are we transferring it through some special process into magic? And I think that that really is what we all want to do, is make our life magical.
Beautiful. So can you tell us a little bit about what you see for the future of 𝘿𝙤𝙑?
More and better.
Yes.
Why do I say that? One of the things that I saw early on, I think, I don't know, in my mind, I saw it in large part in the advertising agency business, is that when you bring people together, magic happens. And so the journey, you know, of doing this for, you know, over 20 years is, you know, for the first so many years, Evan and I did everything, you know, and then as the years, you know, in the recent years, there's a team doing so many things. So two individuals only have so much creativity. And many dozens and dozens and dozens of individuals have unlimited creativity. And I think that that magic is just, you know, is the potential and the future of the brand.
So when you say, you know, two people, when you started this out, it reminds me of my time back at the Wedge Co-op when I would call in an order. Sometimes you would answer. That might be 15 years ago. And it always brought a smile to my face. And I don't even know what you would say, but I never left the conversation without a little chuckle. You always brought a little lightness and fun humor to every conversation, and you still do, but it's a fun memory.
Well, you were our biggest, most important customer, the Wedge.
Yes, you know, always been selling a lot of evanhealy. And you know, it was just always sort of a fun experience. Like if I called and I got to speak with you or Evan, you know, it was sweet, and it was something that I didn't get to experience with a lot of other companies, or any for that matter. So, yeah, so I guess just, you know, in closing, I have one more question for you. And so, you know, when you look at what you've created, what do you see?
Well, I think the thing that occurs to me that perhaps gives me most pride is that we have created and continue to create a business that is more than a commercial enterprise. And you know, I was just reading an article about old growth forests. And in essence, the article was, you know, talking about the journalist was working with a research scientist, a woman who's a PhD out of the University of British Columbia, who grew up in Western Canada, and her youth was influenced by spending time in the forest. And it's a fascinating article because it brings science to something that I would think is self-evident. And really what it explores is how that in old growth forests, that everything is connected, that trees of different species are connected, and they're connected, if I remember it right, through the the roots of the trees, become intertwined with fungi and nutrients and soil, and somehow within this, there's an exchange of information. And the whole idea that there's an interdependence in the forest that makes it a complex world, and that it's really not, the forest does not exist in competition alone. That exists both, there is limited resources, yet there's a collaboration that's going on and sharing information. And I think that the idea that in business today and the way we look at the world, it's not a competition, or it's not a competition alone. We're all in it together, and that whatever we do impacts so many, different parts of the world. And the undergrowth, in a forest is the same way that there's an undergrowth in the way we work with, the men and women who harvest plant material, and the way we treat it with reverence, and the way we bring it to the market with integrity, and all of it's connected. And I think that the idea that we can have a business that is a commercial enterprise, and a business needs to be successful and deliver profit so it can be sustainable, but that we can have a business that looks beyond the financial aspect to how are we impacting the world. And I think you started with the idea of our mission statement being sanctuary. And I think in a sweet way, perhaps, we can end in that same way, is that we strive to offer sanctuary to not only those who use our products, but we strive to offer sanctuary beyond that. And in some way, I believe that we do offer sanctuary to the world. And I think that that whole aspect of that there's 200% to life. There's the inner aspect of our lives. There's the outer aspect of our lives. There's the soulful aspect of business, and that there's the commercial aspect of business, and that it can exist in a totality.
That's beautiful. And it brings us full circle back to sanctuary.
Yay, we did it. We did it.
Oh, thank you so much for talking with me today, David, and sharing this journey, your journey, and evanhealy's journey. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you. It was fun.
Oh, all
See you
right.
later.
Have a wonderful and beautiful rest of your day.
All
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
right. Bye.